Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Helt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This week, my guest is Sam Mills, and he is the owner and founder of CFO and More. He is a veteran CPA based in Las Vegas with nearly 3 decades of experience helping entrepreneurs turn financial chaos into clarity. He has overseen more than 5,000 tax returns, guided business owners through IRS audits, and advised on dozens of acquisitions. Sam is known for connecting tax strategy, cash flow, and growth planning into one clear picture, especially for home service and small business owners who want smarter systems and more confidence in their numbers. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Definitely. Hey, I know it's a bit busy time of year for CPAs right now, so let's jump right in this. What made you focus more on the home business and small businesses?
Well, I think it has to go back to service because, we're in the professional service industry. Maybe it's something my parents instilled in me as a kid about how you're supposed to take care of your, neighbors and stuff. So service, I feel, is at the heart of business. Like if you're not conducting a win-win transaction, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. In helping the business owners and the small businesses, what are some of the common mistakes that you see that they're making?
The small business owner, the most common mistake is probably not hiring a good CPA and getting good advice and listening to what they say. That would be probably the most common mistake I see people making because they don't like the answers that we have to share with them because they're not going to help them avoid taxes. Sometimes you got to manage your taxes instead of avoid them. And sometimes, getting caught up in thinking that you can do this strategy that you heard about from some friend and avoid all these taxes instead of, checking with your CPA to make sure you're not doing something silly. That's probably the biggest mistake you make.
So that you say making sure you have a good CPA, and what's your definition of a good CPA?
Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? A good CPA, somebody that's going to tell you the truth, even if it means they might not do your work. I'll be honest. When I was young and starting my business up, I probably wasn't the best CPA because, I would do the work and a client would come to me and want to do something that wasn't okay. And I had already done the work and I knew that if I didn't do it, they were just going to go down the street and have the next guy do it the way they wanted to do it. So I would do those things and I always felt dirty doing them. And that's probably why I started doing my CFO and More thing is because I only want to work with the clients that are serious and want to do things right because I don't want to feel dirty anymore because I know what's right. I'm accountable to that because somebody else doesn't believe that's right. I'm not going to say they're not accountable to that. That's not for me to judge, but I know what's right for me. So I need to be true to me. So that's why I started this up. So a good CPA is somebody that's going to tell you the truth and that's going to tell you when you're past the pale, when you're taking on risk with the IRS. That's not something to be taken lightly because an audit costs you more than just the taxes they assess. You stop doing business. You have to go pull all these records up. It's a pain. It's not fun for everybody. So doing it right the first time is never, ever a bad thing.
So, you talked about, listening to their neighbors or their friends possibly with these tax strategies. Also now there's a ton of people that are out on social media that are, really pushing these tax strategies and they're not giving the whole picture to people. They're giving them, this much and yeah, they're quoting some tax code and stuff like that. How are you able, if you're listening to some of these people, or maybe not listening, you hear these people, how best do you think they should go about if, hey, I'm into real estate, maybe I should check this out. How best do you think that they should go and investigate with what this person's talking about?
So my favorite clients, in fact, the clients that are that I'm now working for in my CFO and more of my limited CPA client practice, um, these are the guys that would call me up every time they heard one of these strategies and said, "Hey Sam, I'm going to send you an email. Will you please look at it and tell me what you think?" And I hated doing it, to be honest, because I knew they were like some random strategy, but every once in a while, like
Hmm.
that it actually applied to this industry. And I'm like, hey, this will actually work for you because of these reasons. And so vetting out these strategies with your CPA is a great way to build a relationship. Now, hey, you might get a bill because they had to research for 3 hours. You know what? They also educated themselves. So if your CPA is billing you for 3 hours of research and he didn't know the answer, I would push back on your CPA a little bit and say, hey, didn't you learn something too? Can we split this down the middle? Because that's how I always did it with my clients. If I had to learn it, I only billed them for half of my time because I thought that was fair because I didn't know. And then I learned something that I didn't have to go look up ever again because I don't forget stuff when I have to read it. I'm dyslexic, so I'm weird like that. When I read it, I remember because I don't read very well. That's also why my clients, when they send me an email, say, Sam, make sure you read that email because they know this about me. And that's
Right.
something, if you don't know your CPA that well, you might want to invest a little more time getting to know them because it will pay dividends. I promise you that.
Right. In your CFO and more business, we talked about this a little bit, before we came on the interview here. You've decided that, hey, I'm going to work with a limited number of people, but they are going to be the only people I work with, and not that you're necessarily are at their beck and call, but you're there for them, and you're going to take care of all of their accounting and tax needs.
Yep, that's how I want to serve my clients. Is what it kind of, I had a big little CPA firm with a lot of clients, and there's a shift going on in the accounting industry that people need to be aware of. There are less and less accountants coming out of school choosing to be tax accountants. So it's harder and harder for us to staff our firms. So there is a need for the use of AI and the changes that are coming in the world. Like we need this stuff, we really do. You mentioned earlier, Gary, about these guys that are on social media pimping out these IRS codes, tax savings. I'm guilty of that. Recently, I started pimping out the Augusta rule because
Mhm.
I think it's something clients need to use, especially if they have taxable income of over a couple 100,000. Okay, you now need to have your annual meeting. You need to do your board minutes. You need to meet with your CPA. We can set up telemeetings and document the business use of your property so that it's bulletproof with the IRS. I want the IRS to come and audit me for this because I want to design it bulletproof so that when I sell it to people, you can act with confidence that this is going to save you the money that I promise you. And you're going to get all these other services, and I'll cooperate with whatever CPA you're using. I want to give you these other little tidbits that I want to make sure that we're looking at. Or if you need extra help when you're going to get a loan, or you're looking at packaging up your firm to sell and you need somebody to be in there day in, day out for 2 weeks. That's something that we're providing so it doesn't swamp your CPA firm because that would swamp a CPA firm. I know I'm just been doing due diligence recently for a client and it took me every hour I had for the last 2 weeks. I'm lucky that I'm able to do that right now because I've, structured myself so I could.
Well, one of the key things you just said in there, Sam, is that you build this out where it's bulletproof, and you talk about the documentation. And I think that that's where most people make the mistake. And a lot of the people that are on the social media, they're not building out the documentation for you to make sure that you are bulletproof.
That's
I
right. They're
think,
just selling you on the idea of it. But there's IRS rules and regulations behind the idea of it that you have to document. And like it's better if you even have meetings with your CPA during those 2 weeks and you do them in your home. I can do that via Teams or Zoom so that we can document it. I'll put in my time into my timesheet so that if the IRS challenges that, I'm like, yeah, we had a meeting for an hour and a half on this day, and then they read this book that I asked them to read, and we followed up on these 3 days every morning while they had coffee. So yeah, we documented the business use of it. So
right,
IRS can pound sand because that's all you have to do. You have to do their regs, but once you meet their requirements, they say, okay, you satisfied our requirements, and it's okay. So I pimped it out. I then, Gary, like I don't know how much of this I want to share on a recorded call, but I took measures to make sure that if any of these got audited, then we had the means to take these through the audit so that we
right,
could find out exactly what the IRS wanted. Because I think I interpreted the rules this way, but until I go through a couple audits, I don't really know how the IRS is going to interpret those rules. And they're the ones that are the authority. I am a quasi authority at best as a CPA. I don't enforce them, I interpret them. They enforce them.
right, right. I just, I think that with anything that you're doing from accounting and tax standpoint, documentation is the key. And there's so many people that are like, oh, well, they have to prove I'm wrong. Well, no, that's not how it works. I just like that you're saying, hey, look, I do
Yeah.
this, but I make sure it's bulletproof. I have the
Oh,
documentation.
I want to dot I's and cross T's if we're going to do anything that's aggressive because there's gray area in the tax code. Absolutely. Like just spending money doesn't make a tax deduction. The reason why you spent the money or the cup that holds the water, the context of the reason why you spent the money is what creates the tax deduction. Just the spending of money is not alone enough.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um,
And the documentation, like when it comes to the IRS, that's everything.
right. So besides the Augusta rule, what's another smart move that business owners aren't doing that you would suggest?
Well, a lot of business owners shy away from this because their CPAs are scared of it. But if you have minor children that work in your business that you can like legitimately put to work, and I don't even care if they're being the janitors, that's what I did for my own kids. You can pay them an hourly rate that's reasonable, minimum wage or such. And you don't have to put them on payroll. You can just pay them as outside services if you own the company. You have to own it 100% as husband and wife, but that is something that you're allowed to do to help out small business. A lot of people are scared of it because their CPA doesn't know the rules exactly. If you have a partner, you can't do this. It has
Right,
to be a husband and wife owning the company.
right. Um, you preparing to go from being that I'm going to say that compliance CPA doing taxes and stuff now to doing CFO and more. What has that allowed you to do more of?
What that allows me to do more of is to have more frequent meetings with my clients, preferably at their location too, if they're in Las Vegas. A few of my clients live outside of Las Vegas. I go and fly and meet with them at their office because it's more effective there because I get into the weeds more. Like a lot of times, the CPA doing your taxes doesn't want to ask too many questions because if you're playing shenanigans, they don't want to know because if they know, they got to tell you, you got to stop or they're not acting ethical. So, and we have ethical CPE every year because, hey, we're the first line of defense when it comes to holding the ethics of this country. So listen to your CPAs, please. Don't make us feel like we're dirty. We don't want to feel that way. And we are what holds the moral backbone of society.
Um, if you're talking with a potential client and they're getting ready to go through an audit, what's the advice you're going to give them?
Well, if they're already being audited, is well, make sure you document as much as you can. Like usually when you're getting audited, the bell's already rung. I mean, yeah, we can go around and paper our backside the best we can, but it's a little too late there. Like, one of the things I do for my clients in CFO and more is I do a reasonable comp analysis for the officers of the corporation, because if you do an analysis before the beginning of the year and break down what they do for the company, we can run a report that is sustainable in an audit. Once you're being audited, we can run the report, but now it's after the fact. So now the IRS thinks we're trying to back into the right answer. So a lot of the times, the best way to prepare for an audit is to be prepared to go through an audit. Like reasonable comp, surprisingly enough, when I've actually done these reports, like I'm within 5 to 10,000 more times than I can count. But my opinion doesn't hold up in an IRS audit the way this report does. So that's why I'm running these reports for my clients. I'm actually really, really good at it, surprisingly. But these reports hold up in an audit. Well, my opinion is counted as moot.
Right, right. Um, when you're helping, these business owners, um, what's some of the advice that you give them? Okay, everybody's always at the end of the year, they're trying to figure out, hey, I need to reduce my taxable income, whatever. We always hear people telling them, hey, go buy that SUV. And, they already got six of them. What do they need a seventh for type
Right.
thing? What do you try to, how do you handle that with your clients?
I am not the traditional CPA that is always trying to lower my client's taxable income. I I personally feel like America is focused on the income statement because we have to do our income taxes every year. Your income taxes is how much you made during the year. What creates wealth is your balance sheet. That's what you kept of what you made. Like if you paid down debt, but you didn't increase your cash in your bank account, I'm okay with that because you increased your wealth. Like building wealth is what we're really trying to do. And so focusing on the income statement is important. But if you're going to spend $100,000 or obligate yourself to spend $100,000 in the future so that you can save paying the IRS $25,000 now, I think you're a fool, quite frankly, because wouldn't you rather pay the 25 cents and put 75 cents in your pocket to build that wealth and know that you had it there in a rainy day if you ever needed it? So, like I always tell my clients, if you need it, buy it. If you want it and you have the money, go ahead and buy it. I don't care. Spoil yourself. We got to have the little nuggets out there that why we work so hard, right? Because we do work hard. We should like enjoy life. But if we're just spending money to save taxes, you're spending $1 to save 25 cents. I think it's foolish.
Right. All right, Sam. So what have I not asked you wish I had?
Well, I really like that you're a CPA like me. It means a lot to me because I really like what you're doing with this podcast, trying to educate taxpayers and good, hardworking people out there that are just trying to like hold on to as much wealth as they can along the process. And, I do believe in our country. I do believe in our tax code. So I think the more people that play the game honorably, the better and sooner we can bring heaven to earth. So, like when it comes to that, like I understand why we all play shenanigans. I don't stand and judge anybody. But the sooner that we all can like experience success at a level where an audit is going to cost us more money than anything, that's what I want to help people do. because like I get why we're playing shenanigans, but like let's just work real hard. Let's get to where we need to be, and let's cut out the shenanigans. Those are the clients I'm really interested in helping. So like if those are the people that you guys are, if you're looking for more help, I really don't care to replace your CPA even. Like if you just want somebody to give your CPA a clean bill of health, I'll do a full-blown analysis, come out and spend a couple days with you. I'll do it for $3,500 because I want you to keep working with good CPAs. But like if they're not a good CPA, like I want to pull you out of there and help you learn how to play this game the way it should be played. And I want you to do it in a way that you're never looking over your shoulder. And if that's what you're looking for, contact me, Sam at mycfocpa.com.
All right. We appreciate your time today, Sam, and
Yep.
look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. This week, my guest was Sam Miles, who is the founder of CFO and More, and I'll see you guys next week.